All right, so in this particular window, when you load the data, you will see all the three sheets are showing up: orders, people, returns, right? So our interest here is in the main data for which we want to create dashboards. So we click on orders. So either you click on it or you could have even just dragged it. I just double clicked on it. Now, when you do that, you can see that the data will show up in this right window, okay? And you can use this mouse to increase and decrease the size of these windows. Now, there is your entire data over here, and also it is showing up over here. So I can increase the size a little bit. So this particular window will show you what kind of variables we have in the data. If you remember, in the very first class, either it was in the lecture or the tutorials, we had talked about the fact that whenever you are working with data or any kind of analytics, it is important to recognize whether it is qualitative or quantitative data, right? So that is exactly what Tableau does. Any kind of qualitative data will be represented as ABC. So this is usually labels, textual data. Numerical data will be represented by the hash signs, which indicate that these are numbers, right? Some sort of numerical data. It can be ratio data, it can be interval data, whatever kind of data, but it's a number. So the key thing to understand is that if it is a number, you could do some analysis, create charts with that data, and these would be labels. Dates are represented by the symbol of calendar or date, whatever that you would like to call it. Now, you can, if you want to hide this window, you can press this arrow key, and now you can see your entire data. So the first row would be your row of column headings, and after that you will see your entire data. So you will notice that it is showing about 100, there are 24 fields. So here it is giving you all the information. There are 24 columns in this particular data, which is referred to as fields, and there are 51,290 rows in this particular data, right? And if you click on this, it is going to take you to the other 100 rows and so on. So that's how you get to play around with this particular data set. Now, our interest here is to create simple, whenever we see the data, we want to visualize the data, because it is not possible to look at 51,000 rows and then, figure out a pattern. So analytics is all about determining the patterns in the data, which will help you, take some actions based on the insights that you got from those patterns in the data. So the easiest way to visualize the data, to see those patterns in the data, is to create graphs and charts. So what I will do is, so you can see that this whole data is covered in this sheet called data source, right? So let's go. These are the individual worksheets over here, which you can create if you want to create dashboards, or you are analyzing your data in different ways. You can go on creating different worksheets. So I'll click on sheet 1 because it's open by default. Now, this is what your dashboard is. So this is a blank canvas here on which you will visualize your data. Now, this window out here, so there are a lot of menu options over here, but to begin with, we are going to start with some very simple options. So this is the main window that you will refer to, which has the data variables. Again, you can see the type of data that these are. The globe represents geographical data. So Tableau will pick it up that these are the names of the countries or the latitude, longitude, and it is going to show you that data. Analytics is meant to carry out certain operations like summarizing the data, doing simple regressions, forecasting the data. These are things that we'll do in the course of the semester. And for today, let's look at the data and how to visualize it. So this is the second pane of this dashboard in which you'll see filters. Filters does the work exactly like Excel, which we saw last time, that if you want to see only a few subcategories of the data, then you can filter your data. But you will see the ease with which you can do filtering in this particular software compared to how you would doing in Excel, right? And this is a palette where you can change the color, you can change the size, you can label the text, and so on. You can make comments. Now, and on the right hand side, you will see these are different types of graphs that you can possibly make. So these are ready. This is kind of a ready handy tool available to you to just represent your data in one of these manners. It is that easy. Columns and rows. So if you want to create a chart, you can, whatever you want on the x-axis, you can put it in the row. Whatever you want on the y-axis, you can put it in the column. Okay. And so let's make a simple chart. So now this data, if you look at the data, it is, it has information about different regions. For Global Supercenter is a store in the US, and I think it's located in New York. And they have operations in different parts of the world, including in Asia Pacific, Africa, Canada, European Union, and Australia, and so on, right? So if we want to visualize a very simple graph of sales in the different countries, let's just take a very simple graph. So what you have to do is you want to see countries row-wise or column-wise. That's totally up to you. Let's just put it in row for now. And let's say we want to look at the sales, the total sales of Global Supercenter in each of these countries. So it's so simple that all you have to do is just highlight that particular variable and drag it over here. Not only that, Tableau gives you a lot of free hand to do operations in a very simple manner. So for example, if you want to see ascending order, descending order, because these are too many countries, right? You want to see the top performing countries, the least performing countries. So you come to this particular pane over here. This is the descending order, and it will rearrange the data in the descending order. If you want to look at the ascending order, you can click on this option and it is going to show you the sales. So now you can see there are some countries where there are no sales. Probably either they don't have stores over there, and where they have stores in countries, for example, Nepal, the sales are way too low compared to other countries. So this helps you look at the data. So let me put it back in the descending order. Now, if you want to swap the rows and the columns, right, you could do that. This is the little icon where you can swap the rows and columns. So now it will give you the shape of the distribution. So you can see that it's kind of has a long tail on the right side. So there are very few countries. So the important thing is, when you see these graphs, you have to try and extract the information or the pattern, right? That is a crucial thing for you as a marketer to do, as an analytics manager, what you have to do. So if we look at this graph, we can clearly see that there is one country that is accounting for a majority of the sales, right? And then the sales, they kind of go down and there's a very long tail. So that tells you about the distribution of this particular data set. And if you hover around on these bars, it'll tell you the name of the country, the total sales. You want to change the color of the bars, then you can click on this and you can change the color. Let's say we want green. So you can play around with this. Now you want to label, let's say you want to label these bars with the sales numbers. So you take sales directly, highlight this, and drag it over here to label. Okay. So now you're going to see that the numbers appear on these bars. Not only this, you can do other operations. So for example, you don't want to see total sales, but you would like to see how the distribution of the data changes if you look at the median sales in each country, because the countries are very different to one another, right? For example, US and Australia would be very different to Vietnam, Indonesia, in that way. So there are differences across the countries. So we want to, let's say, look at the median sales. So now the distribution changes, right? And again, you can, waiting for this, yeah. And now again, you can arrange them in ascending order and descending order. So if you look at the median sales, the picture now changes. So median sales apparently are higher in Chad and south of Sudan. And so play around with this. It's a great way to visualize the data. And again, you can look at averages, you know, the variance. You can look at the standard deviation of sales to see how much fluctuation is there. So let's just do standard deviation because that's an important measure whenever you are looking at a variable. Okay. So this is the standard deviation of the sales. Standard deviation, that means there's huge variation in sales in Lesotho and in Montenegro. Do you have any idea, any of you who's good at geography, where is Montenegro? I think Lesotho is in Africa, am I right? Montenegro, I don't know. When you see the standard deviation is pretty high, but the sales are low. So that tells you something that you need to look into the factors which are affecting the sales because standard deviation is very high. So in some parts of Montenegro, the sales might be high. In other parts of Montenegro, the sales are very low, which is why we are seeing such huge standard deviation numbers. Overall, the sales are very low compared to the US market. So that means it tells you that you need to take some kind of marketing actions to pump up the sales because either people are very different, you have not segmented the market, you're not targeting the right segment. So standard deviation gives you a lot of information about those sorts of things to study the market. So this is just to give you an idea. Now let's get back to the sum of total sales. What you could also do is if you want to see, because these are countries and Tableau has recognized them as geographical data, you could also click on these charts and then it will show you in the form of a world map. So you can, you know, for example, India, the sales are 589,000 approximately, right? So whichever country you click, it is going to show you. So again, if you want to label them, you can drag this onto labels and the numbers will appear, but you can see it can get messy. So it just totally depends on you, how you want to visualize the data. All right, so now I get it back in the descending order. Now let's say instead of, countries, I want to actually not do country, I want to remove country and just do it by the regions because if you are, say, the vice president of Asia Pacific region, you are, looking at coming up with strategies for the whole region rather than individual countries, right? The strategies for individual countries will be taken care of by the managers for those individual countries. So if you're looking at the top-down filtering approach, then you want to see how the sales are doing in that particular entire region. So if you want to remove this column, you can click on this little arrow here and click on remove. Okay. What we want is we want the market, whether it is Asia Pacific or some other market. So let us click on this. And here is the market. I'm going to drag this directly and put it in columns, right? So now you're going to see the chart in terms of the individual regions. If you want to break it into subcategories, so for example, you want to see the sales of, different categories in each of the regions. So what you can do is, let's say there should be a column called category. And let's drag it here and let's see what happens, right? So now for Africa, it is going to show you all of those subcategories. Now this is a bar, vertical bar graph. You can try and change it and see which one you feel is better. So this is the furniture category, and these are all of the markets. So in my point of view, this is more colorful and this is much easier to interpret than the previous graph, right? So the previous one, so now it's changed the shape. Let me show you another different way. This was what we were seeing, and that was, actually it was vertical, but anyways, we can swap that, right? So the idea here is to tell you that you can visualize the data in many, many different ways. So it's a very, very good tool for you to play around and get your grip onto using Tableau. So for example, one more thing I want to tell you is that, let's say this is the graph for all of these regions. Now you want to investigate that, okay, for furniture and technology category, the sales are highest in the APAC region. So now you want to study the furniture category in detail, and you want to see what items are selling the highest, right? So this is one dashboard that you have created for visualizing your data. So we can now go to, so we can rename this. So you right click on the sheet and do rename, and you say, let's say, market sales, right? We can do that. And now we click on to the next sheet and we can do the same thing. We can construct the graph. Now for APAC region, we want to see the different categories. So again, I'm going to get the market. I want to see the sales only for APAC. Sorry, let me explain to you how I did that. So we want sales, right? So I get sales in the columns. You can just feel free to place them anywhere. I'm looking at the categories, category sales. I'm going to drag category sales. So this is simple. Now what I want to see is specifically, let's say for furniture category. So instead of category, let me remove this. I put subcategory because I want to see for furniture categories which ones are doing well, right? Now, among all of the categories, I want to filter, right? Only the furniture categories. So I'm going to highlight category, drag it to filter, select only the furniture, click on OK, right? Once you have done that, now you're seeing bookcases, chairs, furnishings, tables, but we are not done yet. What is missing in this particular data is the region. I want to see these sales only for the APAC region. So I bring market over here and I filter out and say APAC market. So I say apply or OK, it is going to build it. Now I can play around with this data. I can swap it if it looks better this way. I can put it in ascending, descending order. So in the furniture category, we can see that the top performing category is chairs and then books and then tables. So now this sheet I can rename as furniture sales in APAC. So these are some simple operations we can get started with. And in today's tutorial, we'll do a little more, in-depth, more complicated operations than the one that I have shown you, right? So this is just to get you all started. All right, so this is the student view. If you go to modules, you are going to see the group assignment guide. Okay, so the group assignment guide gives you the big picture about what you are expected to do in your project. And if you break it down into further micro steps, that is given in, again, in this resource in another different file. So this particular guide will give you the big picture. Okay, so let me just click on this. Now, as part of your project, what do you have to do? You have to, your challenge is to identify if in the existing market, you can, you want to develop a new product, so you need to understand the preferences of consumers for existing products. Doing that will give you an idea of, what new products you can come up with. And this is how it actually happens in the real world in the market. So to understand the consumer's preferences, you have to ask the existing consumers in the market. So what is the best way to ask consumers whether they like something or they don't like something? What is the best tool that you could use to, ask consumers? Yeah, any idea? Survey, exactly. So like you all have mentioned, survey is the best tool. So what you're going to do is, as part of your project, you are going to conduct a survey. Now, what are you going to do in that survey? You are going to pick up an existing product category in which you are interested. You are going to identify the key attributes or the characteristics of that particular product category. So for example, a chocolate. So one of the key characteristics of a chocolate is the flavor. It's milk chocolate, it's dark chocolate. So there are different types, of flavors, milk chocolate, dark chocolate. And then you could go to another characteristic, which would be, for example, packaging. Blue color, brown color, what kind of packaging you like. So I'm just trying to give you an idea. So these are called as the attributes. So for your product category, you have to identify the attributes. At this point of time, so when you identify those attributes, you are going to create product profiles, for which we are going to tell you in the lecture how to create those product profiles. And you will have to refer to this document called DIY Guide Experimental Design. So when you key in all the product attributes into this particular design, it will give you profiles, that these are the profiles of the products that you should ask the consumers to rate. So at this point, do not be overwhelmed by conjoint. So conjoint is a technique which is used to understand the consumer preferences when you give them different profiles of products. So you want to come up with a new chocolate, you are trying to ask the consumers to rank the existing chocolates and their key attributes. So that is the entire process that is happening here. Once you get the consumer survey data, then you do what is called as the conjoint analysis. Okay. So once you have done conjoint analysis, you use the output of the conjoint analysis to do what you call as segmentation analysis. And then after that segmentation, after identifying the different segments in the market, then you can, go for targeting and positioning, which is the segment that you would like to target with a possible new product, and what would be your positioning. So that is the whole idea about this project, right? So you're going to do collect data from the survey, use that survey data to do conjoint analysis, segmentation analysis, targeting and positioning. You're going to develop a new positioning strategy for your product. And what you can do is you're going to come up with the recommendations for that positioning strategy, right? So that you're going to kind of recommend the different advertising ideas, but you don't, a few good examples would be good, because there is a lot of clutter in the online platforms. So your report would become humongous if you were to cover all of the platforms, right? So these are the key dates which are given. Now, once you have done all of this analysis, you're going to create a PowerPoint slide of about 15 to 20 slides. And in that, you are going to apply your visualization, which you have done in Tableau and Excel, and story. So what is the story that you found? What are the interesting patterns? What were the insights? And what can you conclude, and what are the recommendations, right? All those things you are going to put on these PowerPoint slides. And these are the further minor details about that PowerPoint presentation, which you can take a deeper look. So for example, you can have one slide as a cover page, one is executive summary slide, 1 to 2 slides of business issues and problems, 2 to 3 slides of your survey design with a conjoint study. So you have to tell what was your design of the product profiles and what are the key summary statistics of your survey data. And then segmentation and targeting, you are going to summarize the characteristics of the segment that you choose for targeting. You're going to talk about that. And finally, the positioning, for that particular target segment or segments that you are after. And what is the potential gap you identified for developing new products based on your survey data collection and analysis, right? So this is what the entire project is all about. So there are these new product concepts which you can suggest, 2 to 3 slides, and finally insights and recommendations. So that is the broad idea of the entire project. I'll just take a look at your subject outline. So by week 5, you would have a fairly good grasp on Tableau, on some analytical techniques using Excel or Tableau. And week 5 lecture we have on new product development, and we are going to talk about conjoint analysis. So by week 5, if you have your survey data ready, like survey questionnaire ready, then I can help you or your tutor, because we have Kirtika as well. We have 2 tutorials. So we both will help you in the tutorial classes to check whether your survey design is correct. If you need to make any kind of, changes in that particular survey design. So I think in week 5, in the tutorial, we have group project idea consulting. So you are going to tell us about, in this particular week 5, you're going to tell us what product category you have picked up, what are the key attributes of that product category. So once you tell, and once you show me the design, then, then we as tutors can tell you what to change or what not to change, or is it feasible with your existing design. All right, so by week 5, give yourselves a deadline to come up with the different profiles or the survey design. So give yourself the deadline that your survey design should be ready by then. If before that you have any kind of issues you come across, don't hesitate to, contact myself and Kirtika, because we know this is a very hard subject. So as long as you keep coming to us with questions, we'll keep helping you. All right, so now coming back to that same document. So now I'll come to the next document, which gives you in more details, what you have to do. So that is this particular guide. So this has more granular details of what you are expected to do. So for example, now it shows you in fine print, okay? So you're going to choose an existing product category. For example, it can be a brand in the shoes category, for example, Nike, something like that. And you are going to identify the attributes of the shoe category, like what are the different options available. So this talks about shoe. Let me come directly to the examples here. We put some examples. So for example, Cadbury's. So follow this example all the way through and it'll help you understand. So Cadbury's is a confectionery company in Australia. This research proposal is going to allow Cadbury's to understand the customer's preferences in tastes and flavors of chocolates, enabling the design of new chocolate flavor with a focus on fruit filling. In addition, management at the company wants to know which of the following 4 product concepts will be the most preferred by its target consumers. So, so here the company wants to come up with the design of a new chocolate flavor with a focus on fruit filling. Okay, so that is the one thing that you have to remember. That's the focus. So when you design the survey, that fruit filling should be somewhere there in the key attributes. So what you're going to do is, these are the 4 product attributes, like 4 concepts that they have come up with. So what are these are 4 product designs. Their characteristics are milk chocolate, pineapple filling, box packaging, available in the supermarket, it's of Australian origin. So you're going to see that there is a variation among these different product concepts, right? Now you're going to, and this is what I mean when I say you have to create profiles or, a design in your survey. So this is one profile that you have created, and you're going to ask consumers to rank this profile. So if I show them all the 4 profiles and ask the question, can you rank which of these products, you prefer the most or prefer the least? So from rankings from 1 to 4, where 4 is the most preferred, 1 is the least preferred. So you can frame the questions in this particular way. And then the consumer is going to rank all of these profiles, and you will have the data collected with you. Now, to create these profiles, how do you come up with the profiles? For now, just ignore this part. Okay, we'll come to this bit in conjoint analysis lecture, so don't get overwhelmed by this. The important part here for today to understand, to create your survey, is how to come up with these profiles. To come up with the profiles, you have to study what are the chocolates available in the market, right? For example, milk chocolate, so it is the type of chocolate. It can be milk, dark, white, milk and white. So you have identified 4 attributes. So I would say identify at least 3 to 4 attributes, 4 levels for each attribute. So now listen to me carefully. So type of chocolate is called as the characteristic or the key attribute of the chocolate. Similarly, another attribute is fruit filling. Another attribute is packaging. And another one is pricing, right? These are all attributes. Now, each attribute has different levels. For example, type of chocolate can be milk, dark chocolate, white chocolate. So for each attribute, you have to identify levels that are available, or in very simple words, the different variations that are available for consumers to try. So because Cadbury's focus is on fruit filling, so fruit filling is one of the key attributes, and it has 4 levels. That is 4 types of fillings are available: pineapple, strawberry, banana, and orange. Once you have identified this information, you are going to feed this information into the Excel file. Let me close this. You're going to feed this particular information in this conjoint Harvard guide, which is, you're going to go through this document, and there is a link given to that particular guide, which I will again try to put as an Excel file so that you don't have to go through that. So this is that link. Okay, so you once you have created those attributes and the different levels, you go to this particular link. You click on that link. This is the Excel file that is going to open. That is called as Experimental Design Builder. Okay, now, so probably next session. So what you have to do is to build the design. This is the sheet that you're going to use. You're going to write the name of the attribute, and you're going to, so for example, your first attribute was type of chocolate. It had 4 levels, right? So you're going to key in this particular information, and then you're going to click on input parameters. So for example, I remember we had our first attribute was type of chocolate, which had 4 levels. So it is asking you select the number of level. So I'm just going to click on 4. I'm going to enter. Then it is going to ask you for attribute 2. Again, attribute 2 had 4. And let's assume that we have only 3 attributes. So the third attribute has only 2 levels. I enter that. And this one I cancel, right? So when I cancel, it does not ask for attributes 4, 5, and 6. So when you do that and you feed in the information, it is going to show you the different attribute profiles. So it is going to give you a suggested design. And that design, you have to take this design, and instead of the numbers, you have to feed in those textual labels. So for example, for attribute 1 was the type of chocolate. So you will, let me see if I can just, I'll just take a little portion of this, put it here. I'm going to just paste it here. So our attribute 1 is type of chocolate. And it had 4 levels. The second level was, does anyone have the document open in front of them? I'll have to go back. Okay, let me just assume that type of chocolate was milk, chocolate, dark chocolate, second level, milk, and dark. And there was a 4th one, right? So over here, I'm just changing the numbers to the labels, right? So attribute 1 was the type of chocolate. So I've replaced attribute 1 with the label. I'm going to replace 2. 2 represents levels. These are the levels, okay? And so I'm going to replace each number here with what that level represents. So for example, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So level 2 represents dark. So I'm going to write dark. So what you will see is that as soon as you start replacing these with the labels, you will get the kind of profile that I was talking about. So when you start filling in those textual labels, you will get this type of profile, okay? Something like this. So you can, so that is your 1 profile, then 2nd profile, 3rd profile, 4th profile, and so on. So these profiles, then you're going to type in the survey, all of these profiles you will show to the consumers and ask them to rank these profiles. So this was the main bit for you to understand. And I have told you here so far, this was the most important thing, that is creating those profiles that you can put into the survey. Do you have any questions around those profiles for me? Okay, and even if you forget, this recording is available, and then we will cover it in the future tutorials. We'll keep guiding you, so don't worry about that. But the most crucial part, like I have told you before also, this is among the marketing subjects, it's the hardest subject. So you have to keep coming back to me and Kirtika with questions, right, for this survey to take off. And then you can identify whether you can launch the survey, send out the survey link. You can type out the survey in Qualtrics. So this document here says that you can use any survey tool, Qualtrics, Survey Gizmo, or Google Forms. Qualtrics is the most professional software. So I would highly, highly encourage everybody to use Qualtrics. It is available for free to UTS students. Here is the link. It is another tool that you're adding on your resume. So it only increases your chances of getting jobs, even in market research companies. So this is a very good, ground to equip yourself for being able to work in different types of companies. So I would like you all to use Qualtrics. Ideally, if you have, I do all my surveys in Qualtrics, I'm telling you, for my professional research, which I have published till now. And I interact with people from Pure Profile, Qualtrics and other market research companies. Most of them rely on Qualtrics. So if you have any questions related to Qualtrics, I'm very comfortable with this software. So just feel free to, ask me questions. So once you have launched the survey, that also, when you type the survey in Qualtrics, it gives you a link that you can distribute to different people to fill out the survey. It can be through your social media or whatever channel that you want to use. you have complete freedom over there. And once your data comes in, it will come directly into Qualtrics. It's very easy to pull that data out as Excel file, and then you can do your conjoint analysis, which will be the next step. So not to overwhelm you more with information, as long as this part is clear, I'm going